I recommend you watch all the previous parts of the Sonic RPG analysis before this video. After the many parts, some short, some long, we have finished the Sonic RPG analysis, and now we come to the conclusion. I will say this, it was quite nice revisiting a childhood game series throughout all of its parts. There's even some ones that I didn't get to play or even finish. But right now, after going through all of them, I know how the story goes now. The idea of combining Sonic and Shadow to make a strong creature, which is of course created by Eggman, is quite neat. The character itself is inspired by Shattuck from Nazo Unleashed, which is a fusion between Shadow and Sonic. The wiki says that the creator has confirmed that he's basically Shattuck, but an evil version, which makes sense. We'll get to Silkadoom later. Let's talk about the story. It is simple at first. Eggman came to cause trouble, Sonic had to fight a clone of Chaos, and it's a good detail to let us know it is not the actual Chaos, but it was a clone of him, truly made to be stronger. And so, Shadow had to come in and help as he is stronger than Sonic, which completes Eggman's plan on collecting their data. He wouldn't be able to create Silkadoom from nothing after all. After that, he proceeds to make him. I'm assuming the data was the final touch. I wouldn't imagine he'd make him that fast. Shadow points out that he's back to those experiments, which is a reference to his grandfather making Shadow. That being is similar in terms of look to Shadow, which again is a good detail since Eggman's grandfather made Shadow. Surely Eggman from the same experiment can make something similar, at least in terms of looks. And so, Silkadoom was born, already showing a lot of power against base Sonic, which was a clear hint that he needs a super form to actually battle with him. Here is some clarification. This world function is a little different, as it is an RPG, so Sonic was able to go super almost any time, hence why it was used a lot. Another reason is to be able to fight against the creatures in the other world, which now transfers to the main plot of this series. Being stuck in another world, with a creature that is destined to rule or destroy it, and our heroes have to stop him and get back to their world. Now the way they got into the other world was via by the portal created by Eggman, which shows that he expected failure, so the portal was already in place, in case of emergency. And so, the four got warped in, which is Sonic, Shadow, Knuckles, and also Silkadoom, along with the Emeralds. Their journey throughout has introduced us to Knights, Rila, their kingdoms, and the Sapphire, which is very relevant to the plot. Using Super Sonic a lot here really shows us how different this world is from Mobius, from more dangerous, powerful creatures, etc. Due to the RPG system, like I have mentioned before, you can always use the super form at any given time, except for when he has low energy. The only times where he didn't use them was inside Knight's castle to get the cure for Knuckles. Although what is interesting is that Super Sonic can be enough to defeat Silkadoom or at least even with him. That gives us a little power scale on Silkadoom. I'm not gonna do a power level video, I'm just gonna use what is provided to us to see who's stronger and who's not. Let's clear something up. Super Sonic is not stronger than Silkadoom, or at least we're shown that, as Super Sonic has been defeated twice by him. Once in the first battle, and the other in the final battle. Silkadoom can take both of Super Sonic and Base Shadow easily. Not to mention, Rila is stronger than Super Sonic, and Silkadoom is obviously stronger than Rila. I feel like this is a very good example on how powerful Silkadoom really was. I'm not sure if he used the emeralds yet at this point, to be fair, but if he didn't, then it will make sense for what comes next. In episode 5, where Sonic and Silkadoom fight alone, Super was actually able to knock Silkadoom down, mainly to what I think is the reason: the anger fueled Sonic and made him stronger to at least knock him down. And the anger came from the fact that he was in a rush to save his friend who could have died. Perhaps after that point, it made Silkadoom realize that he should take Sonic more seriously, and the dream where it included both Sonic and Shadow defeat him, in base forms. And it's a great detail, as he probably thought this small battle alone that he is weak and might be beaten by them, not necessarily in base forms, but shows his fear of such thing, that he might be defeated. And the last thing on the dream, being drained out of energy, is possibly a clear reference to the battle he just had, where he lost energy and got knocked down. I'm not sure if it's an intentional detail, but if it is, then it's a really good one. Knights proved to be useful thanks to his healing abilities. and knowledge of the Sapphire and such. Now remember, Rila is stronger than Supersonic, at least when he's not angered. Knight was just a Sapphire I was able to defeat Rila. He would have finished him off if it weren't for the circumstances. So this Sapphire is definitely no joke. It is enough to even transform one into a super form, which we'll get to later on. In episode 7, Rila has been defeated, which only proved to be a threat to Knuckles due to the beast's infection. And you could say Sonic, but he wasn't near death, really. Episode 8 is where the final battle saga begins, and the Sapphire is still being used, which I like, since it was introduced since episode 2 and stayed relevant. Back to my previous point, where it is strong enough to transform someone to become a super, Shadow is an example of that. At this point of time, I assume Silkadum has started to use the emeralds, and that's proven later on. What is interesting is that two supers are actually almost good enough to defeat Silkadum. They give him quite the fight here, although what Silkadum did here was smart. Get rid of one, deal with the other, being Sonic, which was knocked down too easily. So yeah, we can definitely see that he's using the emeralds because of that. Not to mention that Shadow has confirmed that too. He had a suspicion. Super Shadow 2 is no match for him. Knuckles and Knights came in, which you might think was unnecessary, they're not strong enough, but characters appearing coming to help doesn't just mean in terms of battle or power, but in terms of strategy. After all being knocked down, Silkadum revealing the emeralds has gave a chance for Sonic to transform again. Sure, it's just Super Sonic again, but this time he used the Chaos Emeralds to do such thing, not the Sapphire. The Sapphire gave him the chance to become Hyper, which is a form I don't see at all in the actual Sonic franchise sadly, only once in Sonic 3. It is quite nice to showcase it here, against a big threat that cannot be defeated with Super alone. Something to note here obviously, that Hypersonic has a limit, and if he reaches it, he loses his form, and Silkadum acknowledged that, and did try to distract Sonic with it. I feel like he could be a good manipulator. And also, it was the best opportunity to make an epic battle between the two, with such beautiful animation, switching from sprite to drawn in some scenes. I again recommend you watching it for yourself to get the full experience. There is even voice acting. Shout out to DemoGamerX for the director's cuts version. Throughout the battle, it makes sense that Silkadum should transform too. After all, Hyper is too much for him, and so we are shown Apex Silkadum, which means the following. So it is a higher super form, from what I'm assuming, or just another version of Super. The design is somewhat simple, and I like it. After Knuckles wakes up and step-by-step commands the Sapphire to disable the Chaos Emeralds for Silkadum, obviously he tries to stop him, but Knights created a shield. I only mention this to show you that strategy is really what made them win here. Not just a so powerful Hypersonic. And I like that. Making also the other characters be useful. The series has improved, from start to finish, with the fighting, drawing, animation, sprites, etc. And I'm very glad it was finished. And let's remember here, Sonic RPG is a game with a set of episodes. You can play them for yourself if you wish to. I personally find the 8 and 9 to be fun, and 10 to be the most fun. As much as I hated 8, it was fun. The series has stuck to a lot of Sonic fans. It is quite hard to forget, especially after its finale. Videos were made talking about it, remakes, and it's really nice to see. I'm glad, like I said, that I got the chance to revisit one of my childhood series and analyze it carefully. It shows you that with enough time, dedication, and a team, you can finish a project. Started all the way in 2005 and finished 15 years later in 2020. It is a game you go to play after school and waiting patiently for its next episode every time. Thank you, MidNightMaren, and with that, the conclusion comes to a close. Thank you for watching, and hope you enjoyed me analyzing this series, and until next time, have a good day.